Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar. I feel like a cuckold today because I've just kind of been watching everybody else have fun playing, this one video game while I've just been sitting in the old chair, watching everyone, have a good time, play around with a video game. That's a heck of a way to start a video. Now, there's a pretty big problem with a game known as Helldivers 2, and this is an interesting problem. The game's actually good. It's actually amazing, all right? Now, when you get into this game, I'm just going to give you a second to understand, okay? It's a 4-player cooperative extraction game. And for me, I don't really play a lot of extraction games. I think most of them are boring. This one is actually fun. You drop in like an ODST, you got some objectives around the map. Sometimes it's like destroying an outpost, destroying a weapons depot. Sometimes it's launching a goddamn ICBM and watching a nuclear bomb go off. I'm not even joking there. And in between all of it, you're squashing bugs, you're squashing robots, and the most important aspect of it, you're spreading democracy, okay? All right, according to this game, the greatest political system to ever exist, right? But the problem with a game like Helldivers 2 is if you're like me, which is the cuck in this situation, this is a screen you're going to be all too familiar with. Now, interestingly enough, they didn't lie and say that the servers are unavailable. They just straight up told you, dog, the servers are at capacity. Now, normally I wouldn't really bother making the video here because, to be honest with you, I guess a lot of games do this, live service experiences when they drop. Obviously, games like Suicide Squad are so filled with players, and then a few days after, it's like less than 1,000 people are deciding to jump into that ghost town. Now, obviously, this game is good, which is why tons of people have been trying to jump into it, literally dive into this experience, dive into hell, so to speak. And now we're sitting over here with servers at capacity. Now, to give you an idea, this is a game that's cross-play between PlayStation and PC. And I'm just going to show you the amount of players on it right now as I'm speaking. 440,000 just on Steam. Now, that's the PC player base. I could only imagine how many PlayStation players are on right now. And we're all basically trying to DDoS the server together. Actually, there's a term for this. We call it the hug of death, right? Where people gladly, without malice, DDoS a service. So yeah, basically live service experiences unfortunately lead to this situation where you just cannot play the game you've paid $40 for, okay? Now, thankfully, this game is a AA game. We're not at Ubisoft levels of quadruple A experiences where so little people are playing Skull and Bones that you probably haven't heard of server outages over there. Now, to give you an idea, this game, compared to something like Payday 3, which the moment they allowed the actual player base to jump in and actually stress test their servers, that's when that game was dying. Obviously, you couldn't even matchmake. But to give you a quick idea, there are ways to bypass this experience as well, too, and play the game. So for this, you're going to need some friends. So for anybody that doesn't have any friends, well, you might as well just click off the video right now, fuck off and find some friends, okay? Kick rocks. But for anybody that has friends who actually happen to get into Helldivers 2, just right-click them on Steam and join their session. And if you don't want to play with them, just leave right there and then. I'm sure they'll understand. One of the things that I've noticed about this game is people are just leaving their computers on in the middle of the night, going to bed, and coming back on. Stop doing that, okay? All right? Leave some space for the people playing at that moment in time, you goddamn... I don't even want to go there, okay? Yeah, some of these people just piss me off to the point. I'm trying to play this game, literally cannot play this game for the last 3, 4, 5. I wanted to play this with the friends, with the homies. And unfortunately, we're sitting in a place where obviously trying to launch this experience isn't exactly, it's not exactly fun. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, Helldivers 2, I would highly recommend this game, even with some of these server issues, because despite all of the problems that are actually being given over here, obviously it's still a fun game. It's one of those games from the 360 era. To give you a great idea of what this is, it's a game where you drop in, and one of the coolest things that I've seen is just literally calling in barrages of hell, so airstrikes, all different types of airstrikes. You can use napalm, etch sticks to bugs, drop down actual Gatling turrets, just watch it lay and waste people to the ground, call in grenade launchers, you name it. And of course, with friendly fire, you too can blow the ever-loving shit out of your friends with an orbital strike. And it's actually so funny in this game that even if the randoms do it, even if my friends do it, no one here is actually that mad at each other. And speaking of randoms, the actual experience I've had playing with random players is actually so much fun. It's actually so enjoyable that it takes me back to like 2010, 2011 Xbox 360 gaming. Back in the day when firing up Left 4 Dead on the Xbox 360 and joining up with Boner 420 Gamer and actually having him be a participant, a good participant, somebody that could play with you throughout the level. You didn't need voice chat. You both just knew how to play the game. That kind of experience is at least replicated pretty well over here. And yeah, but obviously the big problem that I have is the live service component. Now, this game does have an online, pool. Basically, the whole concept is you guys jump together, and as a community, you're supposed to do these big major objectives. But generally speaking, I don't really understand the online-only requirement. I feel like this game could still mostly be done offline. You could basically set it up peer-to-peer within like a party of 4 and just have one person locally, locally process the server data versus requiring, obviously, their servers. But being a live service game with a battle pass, with online-only requirements, this is the one key issue that I constantly face. But again, to give you an idea, I made a video a couple days ago where I looked at Ubisoft Skull and Bones, and while that game had Skull and Bones for gameplay, quite literally, okay, literally there was just nothing to it. It was an online-only $70 experience. Absolute dog shit by Ubisoft, at least in this case, even with the server issues. For $40, it's not a bad game, all right? I actually have been quite enjoying the very few times that I've gotten to play it. I played a bit of it on its launch, but obviously since then, the amount of players has basically quadrupled in terms of its player count, and that's pretty much been crashing the servers nonstop. And for anybody that's wondering why not buy more server space, I don't think it's as simple as that. I believe even the developers responded to it. And buying server space, there's actually a lot of issues with that. For one, we don't even know what aspect of the game's like network is basically being tasked, whether it be authentication, whether it be something else. It's not as easy to just scale it up. There's something inherent about this game where the amount of player bases, the amount of actual active players jumping in, it was not designed for whatsoever. So from what I understand, the developers are like hiring more players, or not players, but if they hired more players to play this game, it wouldn't be, that would be a problem. But they're actually bringing in more engineers, more employees to help scale this, I guess, at this point. That's all you really can do. Now, one of the other things that I heard about this was obviously its anti-cheat, and to proudly say it, I've been playing this game underneath Linux, and it works 1000%, okay? You could play this game on the Steam Deck, from my understanding. Haven't tried it over there. It works perfectly fine on my desktop. I have heard that the anti-cheat is kernel level, so if you guys do want a video from me where I actually peek into the anti-cheat and just sort of give it a seal of approval, if you will, I'd be more than happy to do that. But yeah, I wanted to kind of rant out of here because I really do feel like a cuck trying to play this game. It's a great game when it works. But live service experiences, man, some games just don't need to even have an online-only requirement. And this game, like the first game, I don't see why it has to have an online-only requirement. You are, at the end of the day, still playing with 4 other players in one instance. Why you need to constantly be connected is still beyond me. Maybe they'll patch in some offline mode. I really hope they do. Even Payday 3, months after its debacle, is trying to think of an offline mode, which, honestly, if you're a co-op game, if you're a 4-player game, this is not a game where hundreds of players drop into the same instance together. This is literally just 4 people. Don't know why it needs to have an online-only mode, but we are unfortunately at this situation. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't work like now, all you're staring is at a login screen. So unless you got some friends to help you bypass and they're online as well, you better get used to being in the cuck position, okay? You better sit down on the chair like this, stare right at the monitor, and watch the other players enjoy. Go to Twitch TV/Helldivers2, whatever the actual category is. Then you can have the experience like me. Just sit and watch other people have fun, okay? That being said, this is me, Mutahar, and you know what? At least tonight, I'm gonna hack the Wii U. It's gonna be a hack the Wii U kind of night. Clearly, I can't play a video game, so I'm just gonna hack the Wii U, and hopefully I'll have a video for you about that in the next few days. I feel like that might be a fun chance. I finally managed to find my Wii U. It's unhacked, it's a virgin Wii U right now. So we're gonna hack the shit out of it, and that's gonna be a fun little video. I am out.